Hey guys, Adam Harrison, Purple Guitars. Here with you for the Cigar Box Guitar Builder, and here on the bench is a Cigar Box guitar that I'm working on at the moment. This is a genuine cigar box. This is a Princey is here with me as well, and we are of course playing ball together. So you'll just need to have me and Prince on. So this is a Arturo Fuente cigar box, as you can see. It's probably really becoming my favourite cigar box. We've got a beautiful oak neck on this one. There's no oil applied as yet, and it's all been blocked in. We can see a little bit of the inside of the box at the moment. If I just open that up, so you can see on the inside we've got the box corners here. Prince hasn't, so just explain, Prince hasn't seen me all day. I've basically been driving the entire weekend, driving kids around and all sorts of stuff. So he's a little impatient with me to kind of play with him. But I wanted to do a video this week because I just wanted to, I'm up to the fretting stage. I've just finished fretting really. And I'm just doing some final cleanups really on the fretboard before I apply the oil. So I just wanted to give you a little idea of what it looks like on the inside. So this is a piezo equipped, so it's an electroacoustic cigar box guitar. We've got a volume control just here, output jacks at the rear, you can see there. Piezo is placed on the neck underneath where this bridge area is. Now you can see that I've actually allowed for, there's cut-off areas here, so the neck will vibrate freely. We've got a ledge cut here, got a ledge cut where the bridge is going to be sitting, and another ledge cut at the back where the rear of the box is going to sit. This all will get screwed down. I don't glue the boxes closed. The reason, as I've mentioned many times before, is I don't like gluing cigar boxes up when I've built them, just in case I need to get back into them if there is a problem down the line, or if someone says to me, hey listen, can you do this, can you do that, I want to be able to get back into it. So I never glue the boxes shut. I always will screw them together, screw them down in 3 spots, one here, one here, one here. Obviously I'm going to pop some nice chrome box corners on that I've got from cbgiddy.com. You can use an affiliate link, which is in the episode description. If you wish. Big thank you to those people who have been doing so. It is immensely helpful to this channel. Ben Baker is actually going to be posting me some of the brand new flat 6-string pickups, which are the flat wound 6 strings, which I'm stoked about. Really looking forward to getting those. I think he's sending me a few, so I'm going to take one. I'm going to send one up to Joe up in northern Queensland, and the other one I'm going to send over to Darren McDonald up here in the Blue Mountains with me. And yeah, man, we're gonna have some fun with that. Anyway, I digress. Tools for fretting. All right, things that you need. Let's have a little look. Now, my workbench is a little bit of a mess at the moment, and the reason for that, it's very, very simple. This is what happens. Now, a couple of things. There are definitely do's and don'ts. There are certain things that you will require, and certain things that you can actually bodge together. I'm just going to take out all of my fretting supplies just to give you a little bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. The first thing is this. Different types of saws that you can get. Now, this particular one is a push saw. Now, it's a push saw. I know it's a push saw because the teeth are actually facing forwards. So it cuts when you push forward. I don't like push saws. I think these are perfectly fine if you're cutting the box sections here, if you're cutting the box sections out. Personally, I prefer pull saws. I've got a Japanese pull saw here, which I've been using probably for the last 2 or so years. It's a Hosco. You can get them bigger. This is a moderately small one, but this is brilliant. It's a lovely width, and it cuts on the pull. So what it means for me is, and everyone's a little different. There's no, whatever I say here, there's no, nothing's hard and fast. But there is, for me, I have more control. I feel there's more control when I'm pulling the saw towards me as compared to when I'm pushing away. So these Hosco saws are fantastic, and here in Australia, I get this one from, I think from Real Parts. Actually, I got these from Real Parts. Now, the other one, the push saw, this one I got from CB Giddy. It's a great saw. I just prefer not to use push saws for fret work, but I do use this for cutting the boxes. It's got a nice depth here, and it'll go down, and it does cut very nicely. It's a bit rusty, but my workshop's out in the open, so my tools generally get a little bit of rust and stuff on them, because that's just what happens, a bit of corrosion. So anyway, okay, pliers for cutting. So when you've hammered the frets in, all right, let's go to the hammer. Let's do the hammer time. Normal hammer can work just fine. It really does. This particular hammer, if you have a very close look at the tip here, you'll see there's actually fret markings in this hammer. It's quite funny, actually. I do use this. I just use a normal hammer. I don't belt. I usually, when I do hammer, I don't hammer from here. I usually hammer from here. I find it's softer. It is a normal hammer. That's not a rubber edged hammer or anything like that. And no, it doesn't damage the frets at all. It's perfectly fine. Just don't bash them in. Like, it's just, use a bit of common sense. It's steel. It's not copper or brass or whatever it might be. It is a steel hammer. But yeah, man, it's all of those beautiful little striations in the tip of the hammer. It's quite lovely. Cutting, I usually cut fret slots with, because of course our necks don't taper, or the necks I do don't taper, I just use that. So what I usually do is I'll start the cut. Fret saws don't have the teeth on the fret saws don't splay out. Like, if you're looking at the blade on most saws, you'll find that they splay out a little bit, but fret saws generally don't. They're quite, if you run your finger along, even this one here, the push saw, if I run my finger along there, it's really not, it's not splaying out. Whereas if I get a normal saw, the teeth kind of oppose and they go like that, and they'll splay. They won't sit straight, they'll actually splay out. So that's just something to keep in mind, why fret saws are specifically designed to cut fret slots. That's the first thing. So hammering in with your hammer. Now, the other thing I've got, and I did order this, you can order fretting supplies from, look, any of the major guitar suppliers. I know Ben and CB Giddy, they do have, they've obviously got fret supplies. You can buy kits. You can actually buy starter kits and things like that from them. Things that I've got, obviously fret wire. I get my fret wire in bulk from CB Giddy. That's like a pound, what they call a pound. It's 68 feet worth of fret wire. This does me for a while. Okay, these, a credit card will work just as fine as that. All right, as long as you've got a nice, if you've got a good, like a credit card, an old credit card, or a whatever kind of card, the straight edge, and then you use the short edge. And if you just chop off, if you just chop off a little bit off one side of a credit card, it'll do exactly the same job as that. And that's just a fret rocker. You just sit here and you just rock on the frets. You go, okay, that fret might be a little high. I've got to hammer this fret in, for example. As I go through, these are fine. Usually just go 1, 2, 3, and as the frets get closer, you just turn it round and you use the shorter length until you get right up to the end, and you're just using that shorter length there. I just did actually find a slightly tall fret. press that down a bit. Cool. Hammers. Okay, that as we're talking about the hammer, this is actually a fretting hammer from Crimson Guitars. It wasn't cheap. It's a dead blow hammer, whereas this one isn't dead blow. Like there's a bit of bounce in it, which is why I hold it when I do use this. Why do I use this when I have this? Because sometimes I just want to build primal and I don't want to use the fancy stuff. Don't ask me why. It's just something I do. Okay, it's just a thing. A dead blow hammer, when it falls, it resists bouncing back. It just falls dead, and all of the energy goes into the hit, and it doesn't bounce back. So that's that. I do use this a lot, but I also use my normal hammer. It simply depends on my frame of mind when I'm building. It doesn't really matter. Okay, fret files. There's these fancy ones. These are for the corners. I'm going to be honest with you. That I rarely ever use these. I actually use my belt sander. What I usually do is when I have a neck, for example, when I fret this one, I've got a belt sander, one of those sanding stations that's got the disc on the side and the belt on the top. I usually just run it, sit the fretboard on an angle. I start flat. I flatten, get rid of any overhang of frets, turn it on an angle, go back and forwards, turn it on an angle, go back and forwards, take it off. I'll get sandpaper like that. I run it up and down the sides. It's as simple as that. Run it up and down the sides. Okay. That basically, and at that point, I'm just kind of making sure, and with my hand as well, that there's no sharp points on the outside of the fretboard. I go, if I feel one, I'll hit it with the sandpaper again, feel it down here, it's all fine. Now, what will happen then, sometimes when people have sanded, they stop. Now, that's a big, big, big mistake. And the reason it's a big mistake is that when you stop, you're not allowing for timber shrinkage. Quite often, the timber that we're using, sometimes it's very old timber and it hasn't shrunk, but if you have an outside workshop like most of us do, or you might be working in a barn, or you might be, you might be working in an area that's not particularly well, well insulated, you might find that your timber has a tendency to shrink or to move, and that's kind of moderately normal for that to happen. It's a fairly normal thing, and what happens when you do that is, if you don't round off the corners of your frets, you're going to have some problems. If you imagine a fret, if you look at the fret from the top, and this is enlarged, when you've sanded it, even if you sand the edge of it and put an angle on it, you've still got these sharp little corners, right? Now what you need then is you need one of these little files. Okay, so you need one of these little files, and you use these files, and you come in on an angle, and you go around, and you file that off, that sharp point off. Now, why is that important? Well, because we've all felt, gone to a market and seen someone at the market selling cigar box guitars, and first thing I do when I do it is I run my finger up the fretboard, and if I can feel that they're sharp, I know that this person is not doing this. You get your fret file, you put it on the edge of the fret, and you curve around that way. Now all you're doing, it's not rocket science, all you're doing is just getting rid of that sharp edge on the fret. Because if you don't, when and if the timber shrinks at all, or even if it doesn't, if someone's running their hand up and down the fretboard and they're playing, they are going to cut their hands to shreds. Those points on the frets, if they're not rounded off, are razor sharp. They are absolutely razor sharp. This thing cost me about $15. I bought it about 6 years ago or 7 years ago. It still works perfectly fine. I did buy it on eBay. You can get things from our suppliers that we like to use. If you are on a budget, my suggestion is, and I use this one all the time. Oh, fret round over file. These big ones, they're not designed for that. Okay, they're not really designed for that because they're quite a bit bigger. These are actually fret round over files. These are actually designed to put a crown back on the top of your fret if you've had to sand them flat. So the whole idea with that is that it's designed to put that curve back on the top of the fret. These aren't good really for doing that much finer work. What you can do is, if you're on a budget, what you can do is get these little triangular files here, and all you need to do is run the pointy part, run these little pointy parts up and down your sanding station, and you sand them smooth. And that will work perfectly well. Sorry, I'm just going to get the ball for Prince because he's driving me a little bit nuts, but he misses me. What do you do? Come here, puppy. Get this ball. Oh, bloody hell. Oh, Prince, you pain in the ass. Oh, dogs, huh? You gotta love them. So these little things are fine, but you just have to smooth the tip off, and that'll work perfectly fine for you. Again, these things, look, you can use them. They are handy actually if you've had a guitar and you've left it for a little bit and you've come back to it and you've got fret sprout. That's where this comes in. Run that up and down the neck. Run that up and down the neck, and it will take off. So it is handy having something like this. When I started out, I simply had a bastard file, which is one of these that didn't have a handle on the end of it, and it was flat. And I just used one of these. I just used to hold it and carefully run up and down the sides of the frets. I used that for, and it's probably still floating around in my workshop somewhere. And I probably used that for 3 or 4 years before I got a proper fret file. So it does work. So what are some of the things? I don't often use that. What I usually do if I'm checking is for high frets, what I generally do is I just string it up. And I play it. And I play every string going up the neck. And I play every single fret. And if I hear a buzzing, I know that the fret in front is a little high, and all I do is just get my hammer and I go tap it, tap, 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 tap. That's it. If your fretboard is flat, right? If you've got a flat fretboard, you've hammered these in or pressed these in evenly and carefully and neatly, you don't need to sand your frets. You don't have to sand the frets over and then go through a whole fret. You really, really, really don't. It's not necessary. It truly isn't. All you do, string it up, and as you go up, if you hear a buzz, the fret in front of it is the one that needs to come down. And it's as simple as that. Just listen to it. If you go in front of that one and that one's fine, you know it's the one in front. If you press the fret in front and you hear a buzz again, like I can even see this particular fret here, there's a little bit of a lift on here. I haven't actually pressed that one in very well, so I'm just going to get my hammer. It's sitting in the cradle here, and I go, look, you see where I'm holding the hammer? Up the top. I'm not holding it here. I'm holding it here. Tappity, tap, tap, tap. Tappity, tap, tap. Beautiful. No dramas. Easy peasy. And as you go up, that's all you really got to do. Seriously. Like, it's not rocket science. It's not rocket science, guys. What will happen, though, is when you do tap it, tap, tap, tap it, you will feel, you go, uh-oh. I can feel just that tiny little, because as you've pressed it down, there's that tiny little bit of steel that has come out. So what you can do then is you get your file. There it is. Just take that off. That's it. Once that's done, bang, pop your oil on. Bada bang, bada boom, off you go. Hope that helps. Any questions? Stick them down in the comments. Build yourself a guitar. Don't be scared of putting frets in. You can use CB Giddy. You've got some fantastic templates. You can also download in metric and imperial templates from, or at least if they're not templates, Stuart McDonald. So just type in Stuart McDonald or StewMac, STEWMAC, fret calculator. I use that all the time. I've still got my old CB Giddy. Oh, check this out, man. Check this out. This is freaking ancient. This is freaking ancient, I'm telling you. This is my old fret template. And this thing here check it out. This thing is probably about 11 years old. Seriously, it's about 11 years old. And I've got it. I've still got it. This was for 24, I think 24 inch. Yeah, 24 inch scale, 24 and a half inch, 25 inch, 25 and a half inch. And it gives you 24 fret markings. And these are great. These are awesome. They're really, really handy. Mine, I think, really, because of how ripped it is now and how bent out of shape it is a little bit now, I really just keep it now for, just, to me, it's just one of those little special things you tend to keep. So, you don't need fancy tools. None of this fancy stuff that I spent fortune on is entirely necessary for a cigar box guitar. It's really not. And so please don't worry yourself over thinking you need to have the best things. As I said, CB Giddy, any of your favorite suppliers do sell kits. The good stuff. Look, I also build electric guitar necks, like 6-string electric guitar necks, and that's where when you're using your crowning, and it's I probably don't do much different with this than I do with the standard cigar box guitar neck. Making sure that your fretboard is level, making sure that your fretboard is straight, obviously not flat. This has got a 12 and a half inch radius, and so I hope that helps. All right, guys, Adam Harrison, Birdwood Guitars, here for cbgiddy.com, and of course for Killer Strings. If you need strings, if you're in Australia and you need some cigar box guitar strings, you can order your strings from Birdwood Guitars. The Killer Strings range is there. If you're in the United States or Canada or anywhere close to there, just order your Killer Strings from killerstrings.com and or CB Giddy.